good afternoon, everybody. This is Dennis Wilborn, the Active Trend Trader. I want to welcome you to How to Make Money Trading Stocks and Options, plus some trading tips. We've got our illustrious panel of stock pickers on board today. We've got Anil. Anil, did you get a haircut?
Yeah.
It looks really good, man.
All right.
You look at least 10 years younger.
Okay, good.
Okay. Hey, Steve, how you doing? Steve Ferreira joining us from downtown Honolulu, or down closer to Honolulu than I am. I'm out in the countryside. I'm just like country bunking out here in Makakilo. And so we've got some really good stocks to be taking a look at today. I'm really pleased with how things have been going. At the same time, though, the market has been a challenge to trade. You have to get in and get out. I wouldn't say quickly, but you have to have some very set guidelines for where you want to take your profits at and all that type of thing. So we've got three great stocks to look at today. Of course, I like my stock better than Steve and Anil's stock today, but that's okay. No, we're all three. We try to provide everybody with specific stocks that meet our criteria that you can, and when we provide you a stock, do you have, we're not saying, hey, trade this, but what we're saying is, we're going to trade it. This is how we're going to trade it to give you an idea of, what to do. So, active trend trading system is basically based on patience, persistence, profits, to gain profits. And also I keep forgetting to put in the other P, which is planning. So if you want to minimize your losses, maximize your profits, active trend trading is a proven, clear and simple system that focuses on helping you trade your way to wealth and financial freedom. My goal every year is to hit 40% return on investment. And I've averaged over the last 10 years, I've averaged 37% with 65% win-loss ratio. And what does that do for me? If I get above 60%, that's telling me that I have a good edge on the market. Because if it was closer to 50%, then it's just it's no better than flipping a coin. But if you starting hitting 65% on your win-loss ratio, it's telling you that yes, you are trading a system with an edge. Here's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to look at market index review, stock picks for the week by the elite traders and by us guys, and stock checkup if we have time. Always remember, if you don't know precisely what signal is yours and how you will size and manage your position, stop trading until you get that in place. I was thinking today a little bit earlier, guys, about when I first started trading, I had a lot of advice from other traders that said paper trade for like 90 days to 6 months. Now, paper trading back then was a lot different. It was paper trading. You would write down the stock you wanted to buy, where you want to buy it at. Looking back with 2020 perfect vision, I wish I would have listened to that advice to paper trade, test for at least 90 days to 6 months. But I was over anxious and became a little bit impulsive, compulsive. And so, was there any advice when you guys started trading that you can just share with us just really briefly that you wish you would have listened to?
For me, it's the adage of keep the losses small. Take your losses quickly and small. It took me a long time to learn that lesson.
How about you, Anil?
Yeah, can I say something to the contrary?
Sure.
I tried paper trade, but it just did not get me emotionally involved. So I would stop paper trading and I'll just go in with smaller position. But when my money is on the line, I'm totally emotionally involved. And if I lose, that's a lesson.
Right on.
So that's how I kind of improved myself.
And one of our members, Troy, just mentioned specifically mentioned that. And I think Jeff also is going along the same line. He says that what Troy does is he did the paper trading just for getting the system down, but then he also started trading really small amounts with real money in order to deal with the emotions. Yeah, because when you put real money on the table, where you can't just push the button on your practice account and all your money comes back. It's a completely different story. And so having real money on it. And one of the things that made it, I think one of the things that made it challenging, I think almost, during the era when the three of us probably actually started trading, the commissions were so much higher that there was a higher cost of entry. And so
I remember that.
Yeah, and so I didn't necessarily want to trade small because there was there wasn't as much incentive. Learn from loss, that's tuition, yeah, without a doubt. Until
one quick addition also, Dennis.
Yeah.
Even right now, and it's easier said than done, but what I really work on is not think of what's going on in terms of money. I think if I look at the money involved, I get involved. I get emotionally affected.
Right on.
I try to think of it as a game, and I'm just winning points.
Okay. Yeah. And so, yeah, I like to approach it, Steve, from the aspect of they say take your just focus on the process.
Right.
And focus on becoming a master at the process.
Correct. And the money takes care of itself.
Yep.
Yep.
And so anyway, got a good, hey, thanks for the comments, everybody. I really appreciate that. Excellent. So, hey, remember what we provide is for training purposes. Traders should always pay for trading. Any new method prior to the risk of their own personal capital. Past performance is not an indication or promise of future performance. Here's where we're sitting as of the 17th. That was last week. We're up about 23.58%. The markets, as you can see, had actually come down off their highs. Then they came down off their highs a little bit more this week. Here's what we're sitting on that. The NASDAQ, that doesn't look right with the S&P, but I guess it is. Let me go back one. Yep, it is right. So it looks like the NASDAQ has fallen just a little bit. Russell down a little bit. And I'm sitting up about almost 24%. I'm very pleased. I kept sharing with folks that when I was sitting there and I was up about 10% for the year, the markets were up about 20%. I didn't panic because I know that my system will basically continue to add profit on top of profit month after month after month after month, so that by the end of the year, I know that I have very high probability that I will beat the market and come very close to my 40% or better for the year. So that's what I look forward to. But how can I have that confidence? Well, I've been trading I've been basically trading my system that has an edge for about the last 15 years. So that's how I know. So that's why I don't panic. I made one little refinement this year because I wasn't taking large enough position sizes. I was going in with half sizes. And so that's where I made the adjustment to go in where I could pyramid into a full size position. And that has basically in 1 month, it jumped us about 12% up from where we were at the end of July. And so I'm anticipating, I'm finishing off the year somewhere between 35 and I'm thinking 55% is where I want to finish off the year. If that is of interest to you, of course, you can join us at Active Trend Trading, and I'll show you a little. We welcome all comers. We're having a little bit of some modifications in Active Trend Trading that I'm really pleased with. And so let's go ahead and look at today's session. Okay, S&P, I've got the weekly on the left and the daily on the right. I talked about this, and if you joined on the radar, I post to the YouTube channel on Wednesday or Thursday every week. I mentioned this yesterday. We had an excellent reversal signal earlier in the week after a significant gap down. So this was almost like an exhaustion gap, but it was like a capitulation type move. And then we get our momentum shifting back up to the upside. At the same time, though, and I mentioned this yesterday, we came up, we tested towards this downtrend line here, and the 20-day moving average closed below that. And what's it doing today? Are we blowing the doors off and breaking back out the way we did in some of these other areas? No, we're not. And so that gives me not necessarily concern, but what may happen is this may be another leg to the downside, which could happen between now and the mid part of October, but still give us time for an excellent rally into the end of the year, which tends to happen all the time, which tends to happen on a regular basis. Where are we with this bounce? And we'll take a look on the bounce on the Qs. But as I said, sellers are coming in. I mean, it's like this is just a technical point. This is a downtrend line, a flag line, if you will. Sell it when we came up and approached that level of resistance, which corresponds to, as I like to say, look to your left. What's over there? Well, that was a past low, and if we look further to the left, yeah, we had a breakout area. So that level of past support and resistance, now that we drop below it, it has become, it's switched its polarity and become a level of resistance. And in reality, until we get a breakout above this downtrend line and a close back above the 20 and probably above yesterday's high, we, the uptrend, at least short-term uptrend, is not back in play yet. Now, let me see what I've got here. Guys, let's go over to the Qs. Similar type situation on the Qs. We've got all three of the markets down slightly today, but this is a similar type situation on the Qs. Let me blow this up real quick. And what we can do is similar type situation came right back up to the trend line, the downtrending line, and we're getting a bounce. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this Fibonacci retracement zone because it is it did come up and, notice we gapped down, we filled the gap. Now it is, we know that the bottom of that gap is a strong level of resistance. And here's what I'm going to throw on here. If, this is how I look at these things, if this swing high right here is a strong swing high, then we are going to basically roll over. Use your Fibonacci's to get a ballpark of where it may roll to. There we go. And as you can see, if we get a symmetry of move between this down, falling prices here, we get a symmetry of move from here to here. And if, again, question is if this swing high here is a strong swing high, its projected symmetry of move takes us all the way down to that 100% mark. Again, look to your left. What do you see? A level of past support. So that 100% retracement. And what else did it put us on top of? It put us on top of an uptrend line. So again, that could be an excellent level, somewhere between the 786, which is at 356, and that 100% at 352. That zone in there, if we get there, I think would be an ideal area to, okay, let's start looking at getting into larger positions. What may also happen that we'll keep our eyeball on, though, is if the market forecast on the weekly chart drops below this 80 line, look what happened the last time that happened over here. We dove for about 4 weeks. And if we dive for about 4 weeks, where does that put us? Right in the middle of October, and potentially for an excellent setup to go into next year. There's a lot of hit. Go ahead.
However, Dennis, if we get down there fairly quickly, That's not where we'll be loading on. Despite, I agree with you, that's where you should be. But the emotional damage would be so severe that it'll be a hard trade to take.
It would be, Steve. I agree.
Yeah.
And that's why the other thing I like to use is my time extension.
Uh-huh.
And what the time extension does is I click here. Now that's the path, this pass rundown, come back up here and click. And that shows me that would, could potentially happen right there on 10-6. And that would, and somewhere between 10-6 and this number here, which is
I don't know. 10-11, I think.
Where'd it go?
10-11.
10, it happens before because what you're talking about, if it happens before the end of, like the end of September or the first week of October, and it's down here, yeah, that'll scare the heck out of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I got to.
It would scare me until I see evidence of support.
Yep, without a doubt. Yep, that's right, Eric. Historical, yeah, somewhere between September 23rd and December 11th is when the S&P tends to go back into an upside. Barry says, we've had a lower low on the S&P. If we don't exceed the prior high, we're technically have a change of trend. Short-term trend, Barry, you have to also go back and look at your longer trends on the weekly charts to say, has the longer-term trend changed? And so so that's, a couple of things that also take into consideration. Let me get rid of that. I really love that grid that's formed by the time and the price. So that's what we're going with the Qs. Again, hammering right up against resistance at the 20-day moving average. We close below the 8. Or you may want to nibble, just say, what happens this weekend if just things crap out? You may want to say, hey, I'm going to go ahead, given that is a swing high here, go ahead and nibble with a couple of put, maybe a put position of a few contracts, 1 or 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 contracts to potentially play this to the downside. Because if we do fail, get a close below the 8, the only thing that's providing us actually any support is at the 50-day moving average and these lower levels that were past zones of support. So let's go over into, I'm being a little bit too, okay, here we go. The IWM is actually looking kind of good. It's actually looking better than. And what I did here, and I want to show you what I'm looking at here, is when you have a stock or an ETF that is running in a horizontal range, oftentimes it will bounce and bounce and bounce, go up to the top, down to the bottom. And so I've identified that horizontal range. However, when it starts to get more bullish, what will happen is it will tend to reverse somewhere around the middle. Now, this is a little bit deep, but I still think we have to keep it in, keep an eye on it. It was not a great reversal signal. In other words, this was not really a hammer, but kind of a spinning top doji, almost a hammer, just below the 200-day moving average, I think. Yes, 200-day moving average. And we get a rebound. So what I did is I said, okay, give me a projection of where it could go. And so I measured the last move up to here, extended the symmetry over to this swing low here, and that gives me an upside projection of just above the 233 level. Well, again, look to your left. I'm saying look to your left just for Eric. So I'll look to your left. A 100% move that would be symmetric with that brings us right back into a strong, actually back in towards the highs of the year, just slightly below it. And so again, IWM is just a tough call right now, guys, because I know what it tends to do coming into the end of the year. But is this the prerequisite to do that into the end of the year? It is holding nicely above all the moving averages, and all the moving averages are starting to tip, slice up to the upside. And so this is another one of those. I'm not going to buy it where it's at right now, but if I get another retest down here about the 222 level, that might give us an opportunity to go ahead and jump on a trade on IWM. Again, we are still in the channel, but I think it was Barry did ask the question about uptrends. If you look here, we're still above the 40-week moving average, which is equates to approximately the 200-day moving average. So as long as we're above that 200-day moving average, you can consider it more or less still in a short-term uptrend. At the same time, it's going flat on us. So, okay, that's what I've got. So, guys, what stocks do you want me? What stocks have you? Or any comments on the review? I agree with what you said, Steve. Anil, you got anything?
No, I think you covered it all.
Okay. So now I was looking at your stock, Anil, and it had a big move today.
Yeah, I actually picked it up yesterday. That's where my system triggered a buy yesterday. So I picked it up yesterday around 275. Okay,
so about up here.
Yeah.
So for somebody who would be looking to pick this stock up, right, who would be willing to pick this up, where would you advise them to look to pick it up now?
I would say buy it right here, right now. It's still within the IBD. It has broken out of base also on IBD today, and it's within the buy range.
What is the buy? Remind me what the buy range is for.
They're buying once it gets out of the pivot point up to 5%.
Okay.
From the pivot point, and it's within that right now.
And the pivot point on this one was just a nickel above this high right here.
Let me take a look here.
I got 275.22 is the high.
Give me just a second, and I'll tell you what IBD is saying. Yeah, their pivot point is right currently at 283 something.
Oh, okay.
The high in July, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would have been back here.
And if you look at their on the daily chart, their pivot comes out at 275.32.
Okay, I got that.
One caution though, it's not on breakout type volume that IBD likes. It's a modest volume increase. A decrease from yesterday, but slight increase above average.
Okay.
Yesterday though, when it broke out, the volume was high.
Was higher.
Yeah. It was two times the 50-day moving average of the volume yesterday, approximately. So, and it's above average today also. So,
chances are it'll probably come down a little bit, but
I agree.
Within the buy range.
Pull back and then I'd buy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where you guys we differed in technique. Okay. Excellent breakout on great volume. I like this stock because I like Salesforce. It's Salesforce, right?
Yeah, Salesforce.
I like this stock because one, it has great weekly options and all that kind of stuff. I would be in the camp of wait for a pullback, towards, now here's one thing to remember, towards the breakout area, okay? Now, when I say towards, don't, sometimes when it does a pullback, it will get all the way down to the breakout area. Sometimes it'll stay just above the breakout area. So just be aware of that. And and sometimes that pullback towards the breakout area happens after it's already done a nice little run. So just, well worth the watch. So great. Okay, Steve.
I've got DoorDash, DASH.
Now, is this the company that
Yes.
that comes around and
Yes.
and rings your doorbell and leaves junk with
That's
you?
correct. That's correct.
Okay.
It's a fairly new company. It's in a nice trading trend.
Okay.
It's just making a small pullback from the trend. I don't know that it'll hold, but if yesterday's reversal, I see it as a bit of a reversal bar. If yesterday's bar holds, I would be entering the trade. I'd enter even right now today.
Okay.
But my stop would be right under yesterday's low. It's a pretty tight stop.
Okay. How far away is that stop for you? So if you entered right here, you're going to stop of about 4%. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Cool. So, okay, yeah. What's driving the momentum on this particular stock?
You got me. I don't know what's behind it, but it's got some momentum. It's in a nice trend. We just made new highs. We're pulling back slightly. I think for me, it's a momentum kind of a trade.
Okay.
I'll take it on a pullback and go with it. Yeah.
And so, no, it is basically, it is accelerated to the upside a little bit more. Yeah, it came back in an interest and it came right back, tested right on top of the past breakout
right
on that. And this was a gap up window right there.
Correct. All of those things make it a good trade for me.
Yeah, that was a gap up window. Now we'll see what transpires. Yeah, it's close. I mean, like I said, pick it up where it's at right now, or,
slightly lower.
Yeah. And so
Maybe.
I like it. Oops, wrong way. Okay, my pick for the day, guys. As a matter of fact, if you're a premium active trend trader, you have already seen an option trade go out on this, and it's GRM in Garmin. What do I have going on here? Basically, I go out one, up. It has been in a really nice uptrend, going on all the way back since March of last year. We had a breakout here, which is a very nice breakout. A couple of different things here is going on. I can either go there, or I can actually go a little bit deeper than there. But we had an excellent TSI cross from the lower level. That is always a good indication that momentum has shifted. I had price action basically bouncing directly off the 50-day moving average, and then it bounced on up. And I said, okay, earlier today when we were looking at this, it was down about 170, 150 or so, about midsection of yesterday's candlestick. Looks like it's trying to break out from that. And so we went ahead and again, if either buy the stock and or do some kind of a credit, not a credit, but a debit spread. If you pick it up right where it's at right now, and I drop, the high from the low from 3 days ago, I'm talking about a 3% move. But even if I let it get down below the 50-day moving average, I'm still talking about 5%. And so that's that. And I like there was significant sell-off volume right here, but it came right down into the location where when my momentum indicator TSI got all the way down to the bottom and the market forecast started to bottom out here. Again, what do? You look to your left. So when it hit that candlestick and then hits this candle and does a reversal, what do you have? You have a past area or past zone where it basically bounced from again. So that when we hit that low, we hit this low, the sirens should have been going off, get ready to buy. And so that's my pick for this week.
Did you trade it at that point, or you're looking for a trade?
No, I'm basically saying we are, we're in the go mode here. We can basically we had a pullback into the 820 today. I wouldn't trade, if I basically, as long as I don't close below or above yesterday's high, which is 172.82, I will, I would go ahead and buy the stock. For the premium members, what I did is I sent out a debit spread with the anticipation we're going to run up through 175 on up to 180, a debit spread that we picked up for, I think, $1.25 or something like that, anticipating a move all the way through that $5 spread. And that was the October 15th version of that. So,
okay.
But I like it. I mean, so thoughts, guys?
It's a good trade. I think it's got a very sound pullback level that held support, and as buyers came in, I would have tried to get in earlier, but I like the chart.
Yeah, earlier would have been it here
right on that arrow.
Yeah, right about that arrow. That would have been a great place to get in. And so let's see. Anil, did you trade your ZI trade? Did you trade that?
I believe so. I'll have to look it up.
Okay. Yeah. Phil asked the question on that. Phil, we'll talk about the. Are you talking about the TZA trade we did with the active trend trade and premium folks? If that's what you're talking about, yeah, we'll cover that in the next hour. So yeah, go ahead.
Today's chart, Dennis, on my system, it's just about to give signal. It has not given signal yet, but it's coming.
Okay, so it's getting there. AZP, and this is the last stock we're going to be able to chance to look at, guys.
AXP, Dennis.
AXP. Oh, okay. Thank you. AXP. What? American Express. Wow.
What was that? And what's the
American
news
Express.
behind it? Any
I'm
news
sorry, say
behind
again?
it? What's the news behind it?
Yeah, I don't know.
If you take a trade, just be cautious. Earnings is not too far away.
Yeah, I don't see. Other than
I take it back. No, it's long enough away.
Yeah, they have earnings come up on 10/22, and so it could just be the getting ready for the pre-earnings trade. Nice get, 1, 2, 3 gaps in a row, almost 1, 2, 3, and so but we're running up into a level of resistance. I look for some kind of a pullback again, guys. I still believe you can't go wrong doing pullbacks back into the 820. Okay, so that covers us. Steve and Anil, thanks for the great picks today.
Thank you. We've enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah, our pleasure.
And so, hey guys, if you're not an autopilot trader, it's time for you to become one. We cover both the top 5 growth stocks that I come up with every week from the IBD watch list, and also leverage ETFs. We've been doing really well. You get a weekly pre-flight checklist. This is the 5 stock we created 9/12. You get 7 total setups that you can trade. And so you can jump on board for $83 a month, paid for by the year, and or 3 monthly payments there. You can find it at activetrendtrading.com/autopilot-trading /. So if you're looking for something like that, please engage your Autopilot. So looking for continued, consistent, and disciplined wealth building. Very pleased with some of the modifications, refinements that have been going on this year. And so until next Friday, hopefully has a great, next Friday will be October 1st. So September will be behind us. And so we're going into the last quarter of the year. And so until then, aloha, trade well, prosper. Start building your nest egg now and continue to build it. And if you, do me a favor, and if you will, write your elected representatives and tell them what a bad idea it is to have the IRS, sticking their nose in your bank account for any withdrawal or deposit of over, of $600 or more. I mean, just, they're already tracking a lot of stuff already. They don't need to know when we're having just running our regular, accounts. And so that's information, and again, you may disagree with that, but if you think that privacy is important, then please write your elected officials. So until next time, Anil and Steve, thank you very much. We'll, okay, David.
Okay.
So God bless, guys. We'll see you later. Aloha.
Take care, Dennis. Bye-bye.